First, we had personal blogs. Then we had social media. And now people are moving back to long-form platforms like Substack. But this time, it's very different. With social media platforms feeling more unstable by the day, like with the TikTok ban, creators are looking for more ways that they can reach their audience, and email is a great one. But is Substack the right platform for you? Let's talk about the pros and cons and my personal opinions and a walkthrough of the app. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Jenna Redfield and I am a content creator who absolutely loves to create YouTube videos all about how to market your business, how to organize your digital life, how to use Notion, and so many others. I'm so excited for some of my content this year, and I actually just recently launched a Substack, so if you haven't subscribed, it's called the Optimization Toolbox. I will be talking a little bit more about it, but more from the context of how to use Substack for yourself. But I wanted to talk specifically today. I've had so many questions from people. I've posted a few times about Substack on LinkedIn, and people have had so many questions that I thought I would make a video about it. So today's video, I'm gonna be walking through my thoughts. So I have some timestamps on the video, so if you want to cut to anything, you can go and watch that part of the video. I don't see a lot of content on YouTube around Substack, so there's not a lot of tutorials that I've seen that I've wanted to watch. So I'm excited to walk through it just from a creator perspective and figure out, is this the right tool for you to use? So if I had to describe Substack, it's basically an updated version of Blogger. Back in the day, Blogger was really big, where it was a place where you could blog and then you could find other blogs. It's kind of like that, but it really focuses more on email. It also focuses more on podcasting and video than obviously Blogger was over a decade ago. Now, a lot of people over the years have been told to move their blogs to their website, but I actually think that's not the best place for blogging. It kind of needs to be centralized like a social media site where people can find you. People used to Google a lot more, but AI has taken over in a lot of perspectives, and a lot of people just don't go to people's websites as much anymore. A lot of people have asked me about how does this affect my website SEO? We'll get into that in the video, but I wanted to start with kind of what Substack is, some of the pros and cons, if you should use it, because obviously the first thing you're gonna decide for yourself is this worth me switching to or starting? So let's start with the pro list. Probably my favorite thing, it is free. There's not a lot of free platforms these days, so getting started for free is awesome. So you can start a Substack for free, just like you could on Blogger or even social media platforms. However, one of the coolest things about Substack is that you can also host your podcast for free. There's only a few platforms that allow you to host a podcast for free, and this is one of them. I actually was on Libsyn for a while. I hadn't been as active on my podcast, so I was only paying the $5 a month option. But I decided to switch to Substack because, free is better than paying anything, especially something that I wasn't super active in posting every single week on. So what are some other pros about Substack? Number one, the emailing. I absolutely love that the moment that your post goes live, it emails your entire list of subscribers. I really think that there is so much to getting an email sent, because a lot of times you will post something and you have to share it in multiple platforms and people may not even see it. Having it sent out via email immediately is very helpful. However, you do have to make sure everything is right, because it's just like in email marketing. If it's incorrect and it gets sent, you can always change it in the blog post after, but the first immediate email will not be changed. So make sure that the email is right before you send it. Social media has become harder and harder to reach your clients and make sure that they at least get a notification about your content. With email and having it on Substack, it not only notifies you in the app, but it also notifies you via email. So if your followers have the app, they can actually see it, and whether or not they choose to read it is up to them, but that's a much better notification system than just the algorithm. It's also super easy to set up. I found it very easy. Obviously, there's some things I didn't know where things were right away. I didn't know what I could change, and I'm going to be walking through that with you guys. But I found it very easy, and it was extremely easy to import my old podcast. Probably the easiest thing I've ever done. And then you just have a new RSS feed to put into Apple and that sort of thing. I found the setup extremely easy. Also, again, the native video and podcast support. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but you can upload a podcast directly. You can also upload a video directly and then send it straight to YouTube. I still personally like to upload it to YouTube separately and then embed it, but there is options. Finally, I love the discoverability, because you can be on Substack and discover new blogs just like you could back in the day on Blogger. And I really feel like this is something that was missing from a lot of people having their own websites and blogs, is unless you were searching that specific blog post, it was harder to find. It's not quite as powerful with SEO, but the SEO is still there. You can still search individual blog posts. It just is something that's not on specifically your website. And then finally, the monetization options. You can actually monetize your Substack and have different levels, kind of like Patreon, which encourages people to have separate emails that are only for subscribers. This only works if you have a lot of subscribers, but I feel like it could be definitely a possibility for those who want something private and gatekept. All right, let's talk about some of the cons of Substack. Now, this is my personal opinion right here. All of these are my personal opinions. I wouldn't just get rid of your website and just switch to Substack. If you don't have a website already, this could be a website for you, but I also think that you should link your Substack over from your website. You still need a place where you can have information about yourself. This is truly a blog, podcast, newsletter site, and that's it. It's not anything for sales funnels. It doesn't have contact forms. So I really think you still need a website, but this is a great if you don't want to just host your blog on there, and this is a better way for that. Obviously, you don't own it like you do your website. Like Substack is still a company, but to me, that's just like social media, just like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you don't own those either. Substack is almost like a social platform, but it's obviously a lot longer content, and you get the option to send newsletter and emails to people. I also would not use this as your only email source. For example, I have a lot of opt-ins on my website that get people onto my list, and my personal email list is different than my Substack list. It's because I send out a lot of emails, I still need that automation, which you don't get on Substack. Substack is truly a subscribe or don't subscribe, and it's whatever is published on Substack. So it's basically like subscribing to an RSS feed. If I had to describe it, it's not really subscribing to like a real newsletter, but yet it kind of is. It's like a weird in between. So to me, the cons are very small, which is why I'm very pro Substack. However, it's not an all-in-one tool, so that's why I say don't go 100% on Substack. Have it as an additional tool to all the stuff you already have. We have seen more of a shift back to owned media like websites, blogs, newsletters, after so many of these algorithms have kind of shifted for a lot of people. People are scared that their favorite platform that they built a huge audience on is going to go away. So I always tell people to have at least emails and other ways to contact people beyond just your one platform. For example, I had my Facebook shut down for a month in December, and it was so hard because I couldn't talk to anyone. I finally got it back, but it was a wake-up call that like you need multiple ways to be able to talk to people. I thankfully had my Instagram and my LinkedIn and my newsletter, so I could reach out to people, but you could be limited by some of the things happening in the world. So I'm going to now move to my computer and show you guys how to kind of set up a blog from free. I'm just going to create a fake one just because I think that would be the easiest way to show you how to set it up. I'll also show you some of the back end of mine and some of the different options that you can have. By the end of this video, I will let you know my personal thoughts, and obviously it's up to you and your situation on whether or not you should switch to Substack, but I want to show you specifically how it works and if it's the good fit for you. So this is what it looks like when you're starting a brand new Substack account. You just go to substack.com. This is going to actually have you create a personal account. So there's two different types of accounts on Substack. There's people who can just follow Substacks, and then there's actually creator accounts. So those are people who actually want to publish a Substack. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you about a few things. I'll just put you can literally just put whatever. You can click continue. Then it will show immediately some creators that you might like. So it kind of gets you started. I'm going to not do that right now, but you can also click continue without subscribing. This is where you actually sign up. So I'm actually going to use an email that I have never used before on Substack. So I'm just going to cut to that, and then you'll see me after I type it in. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell us about yourself. So this is for your personal account. So the first thing you're going to do is I'll just do Jenna. So you pick a handle. So again, this is for your personal. I'll just do @testing Jenna 123, and then you'd write a bio. And then so let's just do testing 123. You can add a picture, click continue. So this is if you want to download the Substack app. I'm not going to do that, but I'll just click continue. Okay, start reading. This is kind of what Substack looks like. Over here you have your inbox, which is all of the things that you're subscribed to. You also have chat, and then you've got activity and search. So if I click plus here, this is if you want to create a note, a post, or video. Let's head over and see it over on this side. Let's click start writing. This is to onboard for your blog. So I'll just cut through all these again. I'll just select the first three, business, continue. Again, they really try to get you to follow people. So this is where you want to start writing. So it says create my publication. So that's the first thing you're going to do. So this is the first thing that you're going to do. I'm just going to do Jenna Redfield FB.substack.com. Actually, I'm just going to do Jenna Redfield testing. And that's going to be my, again, I'm probably going to delete this after I create this video. But I just wanted to show it to you guys. So then click success, visit writer dashboard. So this is the onboarding page, and this is kind of what I want to walk through for everyone. You've created a Substack. They actually have a ton of different options. So they set up the basics. So you set up the name of the publication. So that's what's going to be at the very top. Then you're going to write a description and add a logo. So if we cut over to my personal Substack, which is jennaredfield.substack.com, the first thing that you see when you go to my Substack is that it has the name of it, which this is actually what my podcast also shares as well. It has the subscribe link. So before you even get into the Substack, it asks you to subscribe. And then it also has the terms of use. And then I'm going to click no thanks just for now. But this is the first thing that you see when it comes up is you see that the name of mine, you can also see the chat, the archive, and about. So if you scroll down, you'll see all of my old podcast episodes, etc., etc. I have selected this as the setup. There's a couple different layouts you can set up for your Substack, but I just want to show you this before we cut back to setting up the Substack. So I'm just going to call it Jenna's publication for now. You can also then connect to Stripe. So like I mentioned before, you can set up if you have a Stripe account, you can set it up so that you can take payments. I'm going to skip that for now because I'm not going to do that. And it's really easy. It's one step. You just click Stripe, add your Stripe, and you're good to go as long as you can log into Stripe. So this is where you can actually import your list. If you're moving your email list over, you have to make sure first off that the people are actually legitimately subscribed. You can also add a few people in. I would not recommend unless they have said yes, but you can actually click import an email list here. Otherwise, you can share a link to your Substack to your list. So that's an option. I'm also going to skip. Here is where you can share your Substack. So these are the links. This is the link to it. You can share it to Facebook. Again, I wouldn't do that next. All right, so the first thing that you're going to see when you start is you're going to have the title and you're going to have the subtitle. Now, the title is also the first line of your email. So that's going to be the subject line, and then the subtitle is your headline or the thing that comes second in an email. So whatever you put here is very important. You can also click here to edit the email header and footer. So that is something that you can also have a banner image, a header for all posts, as well as a footer for all posts. And you can also send test emails as well. When you first start scrolling down, you'll see it looks very much like a blog. So you've got headings, you've got images, you've got buttons, that sort of thing. So you can just delete this to start and start writing your own thing. All you do is you just go just like a Word document. So testing, 1, 2, 3. So if I wanted to change that, I'd have to select that, and then I would go here and I would change it to a different heading. Super simple. You can bold, italicize, cut through. You can also embed things with code. So if you want to embed like a Spotify playlist, you can copy the code, embed it that way. Link, this is if you wanted, so if I wanted to turn this into something, so I would put, so you'd see it would create a link. It would be google.com. Let's just use that. So now that's a link. So sometimes people don't know it's a link. They do not have colors, which is very annoying. So I always usually do like italics or something to make it clear. But that's why I actually prefer buttons. So over here, you have a couple different options. We've also got the images. So all you have to do is you can either add an image, add a gallery, add stock photos, or generate, I believe that's with AI, so that's helpful. I usually make sure that the first picture that you see is going to be the one that gets sent out, as well as the cover photo for the actual blog post. I basically make it about the size of a YouTube thumbnail. So if you go in Canva and make it, that's what I'd recommend. You can also insert audio, like a voiceover or an audio embed. This is different than a podcast, which we'll talk about in a second. Then you've also got the option to either upload a video directly or record it in camera. There's also an option to basically embed a YouTube video, which is a little different. Here you can also add, let's see if I scroll down. Here you can add a block quote or pull quote, which is great. You can also add bullets or numbered lists. And then over here, you've got options for buttons. So you've got a subscribe button, which basically is just this button right here. You've also got the subscribe with caption, which is basically this one. So you can either have the small one or the big one. I'm going to just delete. So all you have to do is just back up, and then I'll just I think you can just select and delete. So it's just like writing a blog. All right. Share post is something where if you want people at the end to share it, obviously you can add that. So it just says share. And then there's options for sharing to specific platforms. So this one could be like, thanks for reading. This post is public. So you can actually change what that says. Again, I'm just going to be deleting all of this. Let's see if I go. Yep, there you go. And then you can also add, like, tell people to leave a comment, send a message, get the app, and then custom buttons. So if I wanted to create a custom button, my website, and then you could put a link, so jennaredfield.com, so people can look at that as well. So that's helpful if you want to send people to different places. I'm just going to delete that. And then under more, you've got other options: divider, financial chart, footnote. I don't even know what some of these are. Poetry, poll. Poll's kind of cool. I haven't even used that one yet. That is how to set up a Substack post. You can also, again, edit the header and footer, like I mentioned, and then you move on. So if you're ready to go, so let's do testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. So if you're ready to go, I don't know, it'll show you a preview of what it looks like. Click done. So I have to replace all this. So let me just do testing the Substack for my YouTube video. All right, then I click continue. So this is where you can decide who gets sent it to, as well as all the stuff about when to send. So the first one is, this post is for either everyone or paid subscribers only. You turn on paid subscriptions. Allow comments from either everyone or no one. Obviously, some people, like, I don't get a lot of comments, but I keep them on. But obviously, if it's a very controversial post, it might be a good idea to disable. And add tags as well. So that's kind of helpful for search. You can also see the social preview. You can choose the photo here. So this one, it recommends a 420 by 300. So you want something like that. And then also you can choose, so I always click this, if you don't want people to receive it via email, then you would turn that off. You can also schedule it. And then the moment, so if I send it to everyone now, it will immediately publish and immediately send it. So you have to make sure everything is good to go before you do that. That's it. And then it's live. So let's go back to my podcast to kind of show you the backside. So I wanted to show you also how to start a podcast. Now, if you already have a podcast and are publishing it somewhere else, you will need to import it. I'll show you guys both the options. So let's just go to get started. So you can see here that you can choose which publication that you want to send it to. One thing about Substack is you can have multiple different publications. So let's just do mine and then click next. So there's two options. You can start a new podcast or import an existing podcast. I don't know if I can walk through both, but we'll try. So if you click import an existing podcast, basically you put your RSS feed and then you submit it. And I believe after that point, you will have to accept that that's the right one, and then it will literally automatically import it. So it's pretty easy. If you wanted to actually start a new one, all you would have to do is you would name it. So give it a name. You would write a description, the byline, which is again the kind of subtitle. Choose the podcast category. So you select the top two. Choose yes or no for explicit content. Add a podcast tab to your publication site. Have English, and then also the podcast artwork. Now, this is very specific. On certain platforms, it has to be at least 3,000 pixels. So I would recommend at least 3,000 pixels, and it's usually a square. And then you click create. Now, you will have to submit your RSS feed from Substack to sites like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's very easy. You just have to create an account for both of those, and then you just have to submit your podcast. It might take a day or two to accept, so just know that if you're launching a new podcast. If you currently have one already, you just have to change the RSS feed, and it usually updates in a matter of hours. So that is how you would set up a podcast. Now, if you actually, let me show you how I do it on mine, because it would probably be easier to show you how to actually create a new podcast, because I already have one set up. So when you search a new post, what you're going to do is you're going to select audio post. This is when you've already had a podcast created and accepted. And then what you're going to do is you're going to select the file, upload an MP3, a WAV, or an ACC, and then it will take maybe 10 seconds to upload, and then it will be available. Let me show you guys what that would look like. Over here, you can see that we have it uploading. You can choose to whether or not this is free version, so you can have a smaller version. You can also add guests, so you can actually find a guest by name or email, and then this is where you would add all the show notes. And then once it's done processing, it will have the full transcript, which can be helpful for you as you're writing your post about it. I recommend for writing a post is having timestamps, which you can use AI for. You can add lots of different things. What I recommend with a podcast, if you also are making a YouTube video, is I would upload it as a YouTube video, and then all you do is you would copy paste the link to the YouTube video and then embed it. You just literally do copy paste, and then it will say, do you want to embed this? And you say yes. Then you would write out the whole post. This is what's, again, going to be sent in an email. The show notes are actually over here. So that's going to be what shows up on the podcast app. So just know it's not what's over here, because it obviously can't embed YouTube videos in show notes on like Spotify. So this is what it would look like. Obviously, once it has a title and everything, you would fill that out. So it's got the transcript, etc., etc. And the title is going to be the title of this post. So example video. So eventually that's what it would look like. Yep, you can see example video. So again, you'd publish it just like you'd publish a regular blog post, but now it has the podcast as well. And this is going to show up. That is basically it for how to set it up. Now, if you want to look at subscribers, you can actually see, so you can see over the last 90 days, I've grown to about 62 subscribers. Very exciting. I didn't really start posting until end of December. So that's actually only been about a month. So again, I haven't been promoting it too much, but it is something that has grown. You can also see your stats, number of listens. You can see I had some traffic, direct, etc., etc. I'm being very honest about my stats. You can see them publicly too. Like you can see how many subscribers somebody has. Again, I'm brand new to this. Recommendations. This is where you can choose to ones that you recommend, that how many people also subscribe to those, which is cool. So that's awesome. I can invite other people. You can see your subscribers. You can also create chat, which is cool. So I've only done one chat, but you can add chats. This is helpful if you have the app, which is helpful. So podcast is over here. This again is all about the publishing. It shows, this is as much as stats as you're going to get, is where they're coming from, what players, and the overall downloads, which is basically all you really need. So it's very helpful. Now, this settings area is really important. It's where you can find almost everything that you need. So over here, again, this is the publication logo, the name, the short description, all the stuff we set up. I have not done paid subscriptions, so I've turned that off. But you can see you can set up monthly plans, which is very helpful. You can have free subscriber benefits. This again is if you're choosing to do the payments. Again, you go through this if that's something you're interested in. Branding, this is where you can actually edit the theme. I did not know where this was for a while, so you can actually change the colors. So I have my button colors, typography, location, and then also there's different header styles. I choose the newspaper. There's also a magazine, media feature. I choose the newspaper because I thought that was fun. You can also choose if you group them as a list, a grid, or etc. There's also advanced layouts where you can add other blocks. So that's how you would set that up, discard changes. That's basically that. Super easy, right? Then under branding, so you've got website, you can add additional like forward slashes. So you can actually add those as well. Add custom pages. So if I wanted to add like a page here, I could add it that way. I probably won't do that. I've also got tags, the welcome page, and then I've got, this is what my email header footer, I showed you that already, email opt-out page, and then require email address confirmation. That's if you really want to make sure that they accept it. You can also create welcome emails to paid, free, imported, and founding subscribers. Expiration emails if they're subscribing and paying and then it goes away. This is again, enable comments, likes, and restacks. Restacks is like basically retweets on the main page. Allow reporting, so people can report content to you or other admins. This is if you're specifically banning people from commenting. This is more security. Then you've got the chat. So I turn that on. People can chat. It's me chatting and then people can respond. Obviously, here's the podcast. You can also add sections. So this is helpful if you have a specific different ones that you want. So I haven't done that yet, but I need to look into that. Your team, privacy, etc., information. This is an important part, is if you want to embed the subscribe page anywhere, do it here. This is where you find that. Very helpful. You just copy paste that embedded as a code. And then you've got notifications, etc. Referral programs is if you reward subscribers for sharing your Substack, so that's great. You can also connect your YouTube account. I did it with mine. You can also actually claim a domain. So I believe it's $50 one time if you would like to, instead of it being jennaredfield.substack.com, I could do jennaredfield.com and have this be my main platform. You can also claim your domain on Blue Sky. You can also add Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel IDs. That's for like ads, site verification. Again, import emails, import posts. So somebody asked me about this. If you have a blog already, like a Medium, Beehive, Ghost, MailChimp, WordPress, TinyLetter, Tumblr, Webflow, or website, you can import all those posts, which is super cool. This is the danger zone. Do not do this if you just, they make it very clear. If you want to change your subdomain, it says permanently change your publication and redirects. So just try not to go down here is basically what they say. At the end of the day, let's talk about my thoughts on Substack. Would I recommend Substack as a content creator? Yes. There's ways to monetize. It's free. It has email. But my biggest thing is it's not the only thing you should have, but it can be linked over to your, it can be linked over from your website. It's very, very helpful. And I just highly recommend it. If you haven't looked into it, let me know if you have any questions. I'm sure I'll get some questions. But I would highly recommend looking into starting a Substack, at least starting to become a reader of Substacks, and then decide if that's the right for you. I hope that this video is helpful, and I hope that you subscribe to my Substack, the Optimization Toolbox. I'm trying to do more podcasts, as well as I will be, every time I put a new YouTube video up, I link it as well. So it's kind of a way for you to get notifications about new content from me. So anyways, hope that this was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.